Hello, 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 and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jameelah, and I am a master manifester, and I'm sure you are too because you're watching content like this. The name of this channel is Manifesting Magic, the practical way, because there are a lot of practicalities to manifesting magic because it's magical, but we do live in a practical world. We do. And it all has to work together. Nonetheless, today I'm trying out these new little pins in my hair. I think they look super cute. You know, wearing locks, I'm not a kind of person that like do the big styles. And then I would get so tired of that hair sitting clumped up in different shapes. And I got to wash and do edges and all that a lot because I work out. So I was like, what way can I dress up my hair a little, but still have it back? So I'm looking at my little clips if you catch me glimpsing at them. Nonetheless, I am talking about today is missing the red flags in relationships. And I'm not just talking about romantic relationships. I'm talking about all relationships. But I understand the difference, how hard it is to know the difference between something that you should be paying close attention to and then something that you need to find balance on, right? Because a lot of times people show us these weird negative things that we see, but then we have to weigh it out with how much of it is affecting another aspect and what are you getting? What is working on one end that may not be working on the other? You have to know what you think is best for you. So this is what I talk about all the time when I talk about personal constitutions. And I'm going to do a video on that. What is a personal constitution? Personal constitutions are so important because they say your boundaries are number one, right? Your principles are number two, and the way in which you're just going to manage yourself in this lifetime, right? So it's kind of like you seeing yourself as like a personal business. You seeing yourself as a business of you, right? So what is the mission statement of the business of you? That's perfect. That's pretty much what it is. So yeah, I'm gonna do a video on that because I think that's a good topic. But nonetheless, I'm talking about red flags. And the reason why I say red flags is because I was explaining to my daughter the other day that it's not as easy as an adult to make friends or to become friendly with people as it is when you are younger. And most of the reason is why is because when you're in the environments when you're kids, you're like in forced environments. So in a situation to where you may have not had access to a lot of people, you get into a classroom environment and there's like 40 kids to choose from. One of them have to at least be into something that you're into, right? Law of attraction is going to put at least one or two people on the same frequency. When you're working and you're getting older and you're in environments where you're moving around and doing a lot of stuff, your life is not fully in that environment. So there's pieces of you that you keep to yourself when you go to work, pieces of you keep to yourself if you're in college, you go to school. You don't share all of you everywhere you go. And that's not even talking about the trauma and the gun shyness some people have from bad relationships they've been in and just meeting new people. They're like, no new people. You know, that was a thing for a while. But I don't mind new people. But what I will say is that there are red flags that people miss, right? And I'm going to discuss today 3 major ones. Number 1 red flag is coming in contact with someone and having a conversation with them and then realizing that they have a lot of plans and ideas that don't align with what you see is important in life. And a lot of people miss this because when you say red flags, they always think, well, something must be wrong with the person. Sometimes, yeah. You know, I always say if they're on your frequency, they're around you for a reason. But in another instances, so you're creating these relationships with people and you're getting connected with people and you're trying to figure out who they are and you start having conversations and sharing all these wonderful things about each other and you're in this high mood and you're excited and then they start sharing something with you like, yeah, because by the time I'm 50 years old, I want to retire and I want to live I want to live in Spain. And then after I live in Spain, I like to travel the world for about a year and do backpacking across, blah, blah, blah. And you see how passionate they are about these things, but you're listening thinking like, I've already backpacked across Europe. I am not remotely interested in living my final years in Spain, but they're so fun today. I just want to enjoy them now. So you put it on the back burner and you think, well, over time we'll address that and right? But what you're doing in that situation is first minimizing the amount of passion someone has for the type of lifestyle that they want to live in the future. And that's a bad way to start a new relationship, friendship, is minimizing someone's desires and wants and their big magic, right? Acting like it doesn't exist because they fit some kind of mold you want to have. And then the other big thing is thinking that it's going to change over time just because you all have gotten to know each other and you enjoy each other. But I'll tell you this, the older you are and the more you meet people when you're older, they're more set in their ways. And what you'll do is drag somebody along for a year-long relationship. And then when this subject keeps on coming up, you realize, oh my gosh, all the honeymoon thing and all that is worn off. We really don't have that thing in common that they really want to do, right? That's a huge deal breaker. Because if you're not in alignment with this person's life plans and ideas and where they want to go and what they want to do, then you're pretty much going to be a hindrance to it, because anything not going down that road is a hindrance. So then you have to decide, do I care about this person enough to catch and release? Or am I just so self-centered that I'm just going to hold on and then drop it on them later that I don't want to do nothing that they want to do? Or am I really just going to be foolish enough to tuck away with the things that I want and I desire and I believe, and just act like, it's not important because this person ran up in here with a plan? That's no good either, right? And you want to make sure you're not doing this. To check my microphone. So, number two. The number two thing is that's a big, big red flag is somebody who does that same thing to you. So you meet them and you start telling them about all your dreams, your goals, your ideas, what you want to do, where you want to go, blah, blah, blah. And they don't register any of it. And you can tell they're not registering any of it because when it comes up in other conversations, they never speak. They never bring it up. Oh, yeah. Didn't you say you really wanted to take a trip to Kenya, do a safari or whatever it is you want to do, or take a cruise to Alaska to see the aurora borealis, right? And you bring it up another time and they're just like, huh, what are you talking about? It's like they're not even registering that you are a real person and that what you want to do and where you want to go and what you are into matters, right? A lot of us ignore this in the beginning because we're so caught up in the fun of it all. And we're so caught up in the idea of indulging someone else, right? That we forget, wait, there's a part of me that needs to be indulged too. And if that person is not on that level, then that means it's going to be uneven. It's always going to be about them and what they want. And then we're always going to be forgetting about the things that are important to me, right? And last but not least, my final deal breaker, because this is for all the manifested magic people, right? When you meet someone who you know has not gone through a spiritual awakening and you have conversations with them and you can clearly tell that their mind is heavily caught up into the matrix of things. It's heavily caught up into the rules and the rigmarole of everyday regular degular life, right? And you're just like, man, life is so much bigger than that. You may be their teacher. You may be their step stool. You may be their blessing. You may be all of those things. But just know that if a person has not been awakened yet, they may not be awakened with you. They may be awakened, but they may not be able to do it in your presence, right? Oh, I remember a really good movie. I was just thinking called Disappearing Acts. Well, it's actually a book. I think it was by Toni Morrison. That was in my book reading days when I used to read a lot of Black American literature. And I think the book was called Disappearing Acts. And if I'm not mistaken, if I'm right, I think Sanaa Lathan and Wesley Snipes played the couple. And they had gotten together and they were ignoring all these little red flags about things. But as a couple, they couldn't seem to get on the same page. And the biggest reason behind that was the fact that they weren't evenly yoked. She was far surpassing him when it came to like spiritual development and awokeness. And she was still, but see, when people come across people like that, they don't always just let them live. They try to pull them and yank them into seeing life differently. And women have this so bad with men, like, oh, he has so much potential. Let me just yank them into shape, right? No, it doesn't work like that. What you see is what you get, right? Like in the computer science world, they call it WYSIWYG. That's like the acronym. It's not even a good acronym, but what you see is what you get. And so when you realize that, it takes the pressure off you, definitely, but also you're not caught up in the mindset of constantly thinking this is something that I can change or something that I can develop in them, right? Because 9 times out of 10, if someone's not spiritually awakened and then they meet you and all of a sudden they have all these epiphanies, they're going to need time alone in order to process that stuff. Can you be the person that gives them that time alone, or are you going to be the person that tries to hang on to every bit of who they are while they're trying to grow into the new space they find themselves in, right? So you have to keep that in mind. 3 really big red flags. And it's not even all the other little stuff people talk about, because I'm like, these are big things. When you don't find yourself in alignment with what this person sees as the future for their lives, When on the other hand, number two is when you mention things that are important to you or excited about you and they have no real interest in them, that doesn't change, right? And then number three is if you're in a situation to where you are spiritually awakened, but this other person is not, you're going to have to let them keep on walking. Because 9 times out of 10, you can even look at when you went through your first major spiritual awakening, how many people, places, or things are still in your life from when that moment happened? Not a lot. Because if you're outgrowing that stuff, you probably outgrew a lot of things, right? So just keep that in mind. Don't ignore these red flags when it comes to making your connections in your relationships. And I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, of course. And keep on manifesting magic.